don't think Gwenpool fans will be happy. I don't think Spider-Man fans will be happy. And I don't think Gwen Stacy fans will be happy. Like, it literally doesn't do any, or scratch an itch for any of those audiences. And it kind of alienates them and makes them all mad at the same time. So yesterday I had a video talking about some of the Marvel stuff that's being rumored out there. And one of the things was a new Gwenpool series. And I even mentioned it in the video, and I had to cut it all out once we got new information about that, because it's so much weirder than I could have possibly imagined. In fact, it has something to do with the resurrection of Gwen Stacy. It's so weird, in fact, that one of the Patreon backers sent me this. It's the DM. Hey, Wes, can you give me 3 good reasons why, A, we are getting a new Gwenpool series? To be fair, I read the first one. B, why is Gwen Stacy coming back? And C, why does it look like Marvel is turning her into a psycho killer if she does come back? No, in fact, I cannot. I have no idea why any of this has happened. It feels so random to make the original Gwen Stacy, resurrect her, and then turn her into Gwenpool. So she's a variant of a variant cover character that was turned into a variant character. You can't make this stuff up, but it's so strange. So strange. I mean, this must be coming out of the mind of Nick Lowe. But it's almost like they decided the reason that Gwendolyn Poole, the Heather Ontos self-insert character in Marvel Comics that Jordan White greenlit back in the day, isn't popular or important or can't carry her own ongoing series is because it wasn't the real Gwen Stacy that died, and then also because she wasn't enough like Wolverine? I wish I had answers for this, but let's talk about the information that we do have, because I'm borderline speechless. I'm befuddled. That's the word. I am befuddled by all of this. Kevin Scott and artist Stefano Nessi are bringing Gwen Stacy back from the grave. Yes, Peter Parker's Gwen Stacy, whose tragic death echoes through all of comic bookdom. However, the heartbreak lingering from that first neck-breaking moment to today gets a little bit of respite in the most unconventional way when Stacy comes back as a bloodthirsty killing machine with Deadpool's Weapon X abilities. I cannot be the only person that's going, man, that's a strange idea. It's not a good idea, but it's a strange idea. I mean, there's been what I would consider to be bad ideas that have worked out. If you had told me Jason Aaron's going to be doing a Batman in outer space book, that happens in the early portion of his career, I'm like, oh man, that sounds terrible. Jason Aaron on a book like that, he's probably going to screw that up. Ended up being good. So it's not like you can't take a bad idea and do something with it, but was Marvel really just missing a bloodthirsty Gwen Stacy? It doesn't feel like that's happening, and there kind of already is that in Gwenpool herself, who still, I guess, exists, because she's not replacing the original Gwenpool. In fact, it sounds like they're going to be working together. I imagine some people are going to be asking, how are they going to bring her back? I think it's kind of obvious at this point. If you've been reading 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, he's got these magical reeds that allow him to resurrect after he dies, because he's fighting these scions of Sidorak, and he has to die over and over again. I don't know why. Even if you read the story, I don't think it's perfectly clear why he needs to die and why the X-Men can defeat that enemy without anything like magic, because he's got a magical suit. He's going to have one of those leftover reeds that allows you to be resurrected. He's going to find the soul of Gwen Stacy and give it to her, and she's going to be resurrected, probably blame Peter because he's an asshole, and then become a homicidal maniac, going down there and gutting people and stuff like that. I guess they kind of already established that he can find her spirit when they did that, I guess, at the end of Axe Judgment Day. So it'll be something like that. At least that's the thing that's just staring you in the face. That's how they're going to do it as far as the character coming back. A little bit more detail that we have. Gwen Stacy returns as the darker, deadlier, and even more unhinged Gwenpool. And who better to help Spidey navigate his soul-crushing revelation than the medium-shattering, attention-seeking Marvel Comics superfan that is the original Gwenpool. It's a wild team-up as the pair race to solve the unhinged mystery before it's too late, because Gwendolyn Poole knows better than anyone that there's definitely not enough page time for 2 Gwenpools. I don't know, are you looking forward to a Spider-Man Gwendolyn Poole team up to track down the original Gwen Stacy that's now also a Gwenpool. How many Spider-Man characters do we need? How many Deadpool characters do we need? We have Deadpool, we've got Kid Deadpool, Dogpool, Gwenpool, now a second Gwenpool. It just gets unwieldy. It becomes no fun at some point. And you really do strip everything even remotely interesting about the character at some point. Why even root for a character like Spider-Man or Deadpool if you're just going to make 45 different versions of them? And why feel something when a major event like the night Gwen Stacy died happens in Marvel Comics if you know that eventually, sometime they're going to do it? Sometimes it might even take them 50 fucking years, but they're like guaranteed to do it. Like who's Uncle Ben going to come back as? Is he going to be the new Doc Ock since they both laid pipe in Aunt May? I mean, why do we keep undoing things that were impactful and memorable that people still talk about to this day so you could make some controversial-ish kind of headlines? I wish it could all make sense. I wish I could answer that original question. Why are we getting a Gwenpool series? It hasn't been a successful character. Why is Gwen Stacy coming back, and why is she being turned into a killer? I think it's for headlines. I think they're strictly doing it because they knew that people would talk about it. Everyone's talking about it. Hell, I'm talking about it. Every comic book news site out there, news site that normally doesn't cover anything, all has an article about this. So I think it's just because they knew it would get attention. Now, is it good attention? I would maintain that it's not good attention. Anything that brings attention on your own ineptitude and the fact that you don't have any good ideas and that you can't move anything forward, you can only move backwards, kind of just spotlights the fact that you have terrible creative and really bad ideas, and further reiterates the fact that Nick Lowe not only needs to be removed from Spider-Man, he probably just needs to be removed from Marvel Comics. Now, as far as the creative team, which I haven't even really gotten into, Kevin Scott told Marvel about the release, "What an absolute honor to tear both Gwenpool and Spider-Man's worlds apart. Yes, please, Gwen Stacy is back from the grave and deadlier than ever. Weapon X style abilities, check. A line and killer putdowns, you've got it." He continued to describe the bold storyline that's raising a lot of questions. "This is not the Gwen you remember, but just who is behind her miraculous resurrection and what has happened to the original Gwenpool's usually careful existence. Add Kate Bishop and Jeff the Landshark to the mix, and you had the Marvel series of my dreams." I don't believe that. I reject that outright. I don't think there's any person in this entire world that ever thought, you know what, if I could write one story at Marvel Comics, I would bring back Gwen Stacy from the dead, turn her into a killer, make her into another version of Deadpool, and then throw Jeff the Landshark and fake Hawkeye in it. Like, no one's ever said that. I mean, that's a bold-faced line. I imagine you're supposed to sell the book, but we're going so far afield that you're talking about fanciful fucking territory, and you're not even talking about reality, because it would be very difficult to sell this to somebody. It's hard to tell somebody, yes, this is something that I believe in. This is something that I want to do, because I don't believe anybody in their right mind would ever really want to do this. I don't think a good creator would ever think this is a good idea. And I don't think Kevin Scott is a good creator. I think he's very middling at best. Most of you probably have never heard of Kevin Scott because he hasn't done a lot of work. The work that he has done at Marvel has mostly been like Star Wars, High Republic comic books, which have not been well received. They're not very good. His especially are kind of boring. I personally have just kind of stopped reading them altogether. But he also, I think, wrote 2 of the novels that were out there that did really, really poorly after the initial success of the Charles Soule one. There was another one out there that did pretty good from Claudia, was it Gray? I might be wrong on that one. But there were a couple of successes earlier, and then they did a bunch of other novels, and none of them were successful. And I like to listen to books on Audible. You know, I like to listen specifically to Star Wars novels. You know, and I've looked into some of the books that he's written, and you go, and I always look at the comments. Across the board, terrible. This guy, he's not a good writer. So at least they didn't put anybody of consequence on the book, I guess. But if you're expecting anything interesting from Kevin Scott, I would hold back those expectations, or you're just going to be really disappointed. So this is clusterfuck incoming. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't think this makes Spider-Man fans happy because they would prefer that Gwen Stacy be a big deal in Spider-Man history and not be resurrected. I don't think this will make the fans that maybe would have been amenable to Gwen Stacy being resurrected, because she's not going to be Gwen Stacy, she's going to be Gwenpool. I don't think it makes Gwenpool fans happy because it's not Gwendolyn Pool. It's another variant that is obviously going to be more important than that Gwenpool, because this is the actual Gwen Stacy. That's my problem. That's why I can't answer any of those original questions, because I legitimately don't even see the audience. I don't think Gwenpool fans will be happy. I don't think Spider-Man fans will be happy. And I don't think Gwen Stacy fans will be happy. Like, it literally doesn't do any or scratch an itch for any of those audiences. And it kind of alienates them and makes them all mad at the same time. I think this is the strangest idea from Marvel Comics that I've ever covered on the channel. And now, actually, after reading that, I guess Peter's not going to do it with the Reeds. Although that would make the most sense, because he's literally got the power of resurrection right now. I forgot, you do have the tombstone with the Shadow. It sounds like someone else is going to resurrect her, make her evil, probably Mephisto or somebody like that. I wish it didn't happen. That's my one wish. And I do apologize to Lane Kramer, who did reach out to me and send me that DM. I got no answers. I got no answers for any of this. It is completely confounding. It is one of the dumbest ideas probably in the history of comic books. And it's so Nick Lowe that you can't even deny it. It's got his dick prints all over this sumbitch. If you'd like to have more honest conversations about really stupid ideas like this, or maybe really great ideas, you do need to keep tuning into Thinking Critical YouTube. In fact, you can go over to Thinking Critical Patreon. There's a link in the video description. We have extra podcasts, more conversations like this, bonus coverage. You can get all the audio files of all the YouTube videos and all that good stuff. Play them on Spotify. Lots of awesome things happening on Thinking Critical Patreon, and you help to support the mission, keep the lights on, and keep the channel moving forward. Hope to see you there very, very soon.